guys. Thank you for having me here. It's good to be seen virtually, I guess, if I can't see you all in person. My goal this year is to hold another QPT. For those that don't know what QPT is, it stands for Queen's Prize Tourney, and it is an event I started, I've kind of lost track of how many years ago. But it's a competition, it's an arts and science competition geared towards getting people involved in the arts and sciences. Entry is restricted to novice entrants, so specifically those who have an AOA or lower. It's not to limit it, but it's mainly to provide them some sort of mentorship for newer artisans by the crucibles and the laurels. The entrants get to get some feedback, they get to have an opportunity to meet others who do similar stuff, and it's also a great opportunity for our mid-level folks to hone their judging skills. It's done in a very non-confrontational or non-judgmental manner, even though there is judging. It's done as a round table where people get to geek out with people that share their interest over the same arts and sciences. The way it works is if somebody wants to enter, they find a sponsor, someone who has a crucible or equivalent if it's from another kingdom, and or a laurel. And the hope is that the crucibles and laurels will make it known if they want to sponsor somebody. The sponsor acts like a mentor and helps the person prepare and maybe answers questions they may have about documentation, and is there to bounce ideas off as well as that sort of thing. As far as the actual entries go, they don't have to be 100% completed. They can be a work in progress or even a failed attempt. Document doesn't have to be a novel or a dissertation. It can be a basic of, this is what I made, this is why I made it, this is how it works, I learned this, next time I would change XYZ. In addition, everything that people make is on display all day so that everybody can see it and become inspired by them. As I mentioned, there are sponsors. Those are the crucibles and the laurels, and another duty of the sponsors is that they have to make a prize equal in number to the number of people they sponsor. Now, what I mean by that is if I sponsor 3 people, I have to make 3 prizes. But those prizes do not go to the people whom I've sponsored. They will go to 3 people that I pick throughout the day. Now, right now, I know we're all in lockdown and in quarantine. My hope is that come the fall, we will be able to have in-person events. My plan going forward is to schedule this event in November, as it used to be. The event was held every year. I took a break last year because I felt they had reached a point of saturation, and be it as a result of QPT or other things, there had been a real explosion in our arts and science community over the past few years, and people had worked their way up, and there a great number of crucibles made as well as laurels. So I felt it was time for the event to have a bit of a rest, and that we would switch to every other year. So last year we took off. This year I hope to reinstate it. It's going to be an in-person event again, touch wood, so long as the quarantine conditions are lifted. I will be announcing a site once I confirm all that. It will be the same format as in past years, in that it will be a day event with a day board, and the all-day day board is included in your site fee. Hopefully, it may even be at the rugby club where we've had it in the past and had great success. Regardless of exactly where it's going to be somewhere in the Kawartha Lakes, because that's where I have an ability to find sites. I mentioned earlier that the sponsors get to make prizes. Part of the reason for this is A, everybody likes a prize. B, it also gives the mid-level artisans, the crucibles and the laurels, a chance to show off some of their skills. I encourage people to make their prizes, but they don't have to. Quite often people will give how-to kits, so like they'll put together a scribble starter kit, or a weaving starter kit, or an embroidery starter kit, or something to that degree. And the way the prizes work is that everybody who enters gets a prize. Throughout the day, the sponsors have to come around to me and let me know who in particular they would like their prize given to. I have a list of cue cards. I give it to the sponsor. That way, throughout the day, we make sure that everybody who's entered gets a prize. Occasionally there have been slip-ups, and I always feel really bad for that, but that's the way it works. Throughout the day, I like to have those prizes on display as well so people can see them. And the way of giving of the prizes. The first time I said this to the kingdom or the people helping me with the event, they were like, oh my God, that's going to take forever. Because basically, everybody who enters gets called up to receive their prize. And yes, there's been years where we've had 60 plus people enter. But each one of those people, I personally believe, deserves 5-10 seconds to be given a prize and be given a little bit of recognition. As I always say at the event, these people have spent sometimes months in their houses and their basements, perhaps all of quarantine, making something lovely or useful or whatever. And then they've had the courage to come out and share it at QPT where everybody can see it. So I feel that as a kingdom, we can give them the courtesy of giving them a few minutes of our time during court. And it really does go quite quickly. The process works by way, I have a herald on each side of the stage. They and the sponsors line up on either side of the stage, and they take turns walking up. They hand the herald the card of the person they want their prize to go to. The person is called up, the person gives them the prize, and then the herald on the opposite side of the stage does the same thing, and it bounces back and forth. And really, it hasn't ever taken more than 20 or 30 minutes. In addition to those prizes, there is, of course, the Queen's Prize. The Queen gets to choose what is her favorite entry for the day. And in addition, we also have a judge's choice where the judges get to vote, and there's a basket to give to that candidate or that entrant. So everybody gets a prize, and then there's 2 lucky people that get bonus prizes. Brief little bit about the judging. The judging is done face-to-face. It's basically, I try and arrange for each entrant to have 3 judges to give them feedback. It's friendly feedback. The judges help evaluate the project. They make some suggestions, like I said earlier. They perhaps give the person some feedback on documentation if somebody wants to enter it in the Kingdom ANS or another competition later on. And it's kind of a non-threatening, non-confrontational environment. The main goal is to encourage people who don't have a lot of experience with competition, and also to give our less experienced judges some experience at giving feedback in a positive manner as opposed to being overly critical. Some other things about how it works. In the past, we've said the sponsors can sponsor up to 5 entries. Sponsors do not judge the people that they have sponsored. So you don't make a prize for, and you don't judge whoever you have sponsored. I also try not to have, if somebody is an apprentice, I try not to have them judged by their own peers so they get different feedback. Although we say sponsors cannot sponsor up to a maximum of 5, it's kind of nice if we keep it a bit lower than that. That way it gives more people a chance to do it. I'm thinking this year I may limit it to 3, seeing as we've had such an explosion of crucibles and laurels. I want to spread the joy around. But the exact terms will play out as we get closer to an actual event. I'm kind of hoping in that letting people know that QPT is back and that it's coming up this fall, that maybe people who have been working on projects since we've been in quarantine, I know a lot of people have, is that maybe they will be inspired to enter whatever they've made. Like I said, it doesn't have to be complete. It can be partially finished. It can be completely finished, whatever people want. But it's basically to encourage people to come out. So if you've been working on something during quarantine, or you are thinking about starting something and you haven't yet, you still have time. So November's a few months away. Hopefully we will be out of our own houses by then. But again, I would encourage anybody who's trying something new and is a novice to think about entering QPT, and you can always ping me for questions. Those who are familiar with the event in the past know that the QPT Wrangler will be out in full force leading up to the event with constant reminders and encouragement and kind of an FAQ for QPT. The event, as I said, I can't remember how long ago I first started it, but I was inspired by friends in Callantyre, as I have been repeatedly over the years, where they run a similar event. And I wanted to bring it to Eldemere because I knew a lot of people were disenfranchised by ANS competitions, or they felt intimidated by them, and the whole point of this is to take the intimidation out of an ANS competition. It, as I said before, it lets people meet people who do the same arts and science. They can sit down, they get to geek out for 20-40 minutes about something they're passionate about, and what they get is feedback, not really judging. It's like, hey, next time you might want to try this, or have you thought about using these materials? There's no scoring system, there's no rubrics, it's just straight feedback and talking about something you love. People ask how they can find a sponsor, or sponsors ask how they can find an entrant. Leading up to QPT, as I mentioned, there's lots of promotion, including we usually have a Facebook group where people can post that they are looking for one or the other, and people can coordinate that way. In addition, people ask how they can judge. I'm always looking for judges. The Wrangler is always looking for judges. There is quite a degree of people Tetris that gets played when you have 60 entrants and you're trying to coordinate 3 judges for each entrant, not have their sponsors judge them and not have their peers judge them. So the more judges, the merrier. There's nothing to keep sponsors from judging other people, and there are even some situations where I will ask an entrant to help judge another category that I know they have a fair amount of knowledge in. So, what kind of things can people enter? I get asked that a lot as well. You can enter just about anything. As I said before, a success, a failure, something incomplete, something complete, all are welcome. It's a chance to get feedback regardless of the state of the entry. It's a great chance to get connect with others and get resources. Sometimes I'll often suggest, did you learn something really cool at Fool this year? There were a ton of online classes. In addition, I know there's a bunch of other kingdoms that have been offering online universities while we've been in lockdown. Have you learned something new at one of those that you'd like to try out, or that you've tried out and you want to get some feedback on? The entry list is limitless. There's no entry fee, of course. But in the past, entries have been anything from garb, illumination, pottery, calligraphy, leatherwork, armor, string made from string, woodwork, carving, pewter casting, silk painting, spinning, weaving, drawing, storytelling, singing, martial displays. If you can make it, we'd love to see it. We'd love to have you share it with the kingdom. Most important question is, how do you enter? Well, as I said with many things, there will be a sign up online. Where basically it's a spreadsheet that I have worked in conjunction with the Kingdom Web Minister that gets filled out, and it comes directly to the Wrangler, and the Wrangler takes that information and schedules time slots and everything for everybody. The time slots are usually 20 minutes long. If people are only available, think they can only make the event in the morning or the afternoon, if they let me know, the Wrangler will definitely try and accommodate all of that. I really appreciate you guys giving me some time to talk about QPT. As pretty much everyone who has met me knows, I have a passion for the event and I love it. I find that it often inspires me to try new things. I'm immensely humbled by the creations that I see that people bring in, the feedback that I've been given about the event. I know a lot of my fellow peers and the Crucibles have all been inspired by the level of talents that come out and are seen at this event. My hope is that we can have it again in person this year, and that it has good attendance, and we'll go forward from there. So thanks. I hope everybody is staying well. Doing my best in my little church house, and Eldemere, I miss you.